much for being here. I know it's early, so I really do appreciate it. I'm Edith. This is going to be my end of year presentation from the summer of 2022 to spring 2023. So this is going to be more or less in sequential order, but not necessarily. I'm going to start with my summer of 2022, so I fall academics. I'll go into my service, and then I'll go into self-growth. So this summer I had the opportunity to intern with Atkins Engineering. And the main thing that I got out of this internship was incredible mentorship. This is Barb, short for Barbara Russell. And she's the strongest and most intelligent woman that I've ever met. She told me a lot of stories. She's about 60 years old, and she's been in construction since she's been a teenager. So back then there were 0 women in construction besides her. And she told me stories about getting bricks thrown at her by the men because they hated working with women. She would get bricks thrown at her, and her brothers would do the same work, and they would get paid $3 more. That's just a small scope of her life. And so I would spend time with her from 6 a.m. at work to 8 p.m. on busy days. So we had a lot of time to mingle and just get to know each other. So she taught me a lot about life, civil engineering, being a woman in construction, and just the odds of her being my mentor out of all these millions of people felt like a sign. It was really inspiring for me every single day showing up to work and seeing this strong woman, her presence, her demeanor, just everything about it was wonderful. So I saw a lot of cool things. There was a beam setting, so that's how bridges are built. You set your beams with a crane. A trench compactor, that's like a Wall-E robot that goes like this, and it compacts the dirt beneath you, so nothing is lit. I got to drive it, which is kind of cool. So up there is my Luau Aloha going away party. So Barb did that for me. She's a big party gal, so that was a lot of fun. We did ring toss, we did pineapple bowling. I won the hula hooping challenge. Because apparently once you turn 30, you don't know how to hula hoop, so no one else knows it. Oh, and one more thing. Darren Hollop, that was my manager. At the end of the internship, he told me, I'm really satisfied with your work here. I'm really happy that you got along with everybody, but I'm going to be really disappointed if you come back next summer. And he was kind of saying, you've seen what we have to offer. You know what we can give you. I want you to look out there and find something and see if you can find something better. And if you can't, perfect, come back and work for us when you graduate. So him telling me that was really impactful for me because I knew that he was really looking out for me. He wasn't just trying to find another slave to hire. And you just know that you're in the right place when people tell you stuff like that. People in leadership tell you stuff like that. So in Costa Rica, a lot of us went. It was wonderful. It's as life-changing as everyone says it is. For me personally, it was the personal connections that I made with people there that impacted me the most. Being able to speak Spanish and speak with the locals every day was amazing. I mean, we played soccer together, we danced together, we ate together, we explored together. And it really catalyzed me wanting to learn Italian for my study abroad because I didn't want to show up and not have those deep connections with the locals. I think it's what matters the most. Up there is a hummingbird. So it was kind of flying, and then it goes boom into a window. It falls in the bushes. And I was like, okay. And so I pick it up. And I'm like, guys, we have to nurse it back to health. And a lot of people were like, it's dead, it's dead. But we ended up just giving it water and it flew away, like out of my hands. I felt like Snow White. It's crazy. So yeah, it was a gorgeous time. And it was the beginning of me changing my mindset. I wanted to live positively. I wanted to value the present, and I wanted to reorganize my priorities. And more on that later. So academics. I would never explicitly talk about academics. It didn't impact me as much as this semester did. So this is physics 2. This is the hardest class I've ever taken. The teaching style was awful. This is an actual lecture slide that the professor made for us. And this is on a good day. So he would get red ink and just like scribble over the slides. And it just wasn't conducive to my learning style. And as much as I studied, as much as I went to office hours, nothing helped. But I realized later that I was taking 19 credit hours. I was leading 2 organizations. I was in 2 intramural teams. I was doing all of these things, and this is the ball that dropped. Like, yeah, maybe he was not the best professor, but if I really applied myself, I could have learned if I had the time. So this was one of those signals of me to take a step back and change my mindset when I applied myself towards things. So it really transformed the rest of my year, and that's why I'm mentioning it. So service. Of course, adopt a spot, we did Maverick cleanup. Engineering barbecue, I know Jesse's pretty familiar with that. We have to contact a lot of companies. They come, they pay a fee to join the barbecue cook-off, and those proceeds go to creating this event, but also to funding our student boards. So Engineers Without Borders gets a lot of funding from this, so it's all hands on deck in the fall semester for this event. And here I was just helping some kids paint some pumpkins. It was the funnest part. They were so ugly, but they did a really great job participating. Pacific Gardens, senior lunch deliveries, Parks and Recreation up there. I was the event coordinator for Plan for Future back in the fall, and that was an experience that taught me a lot. It was really unfortunate that I was so busy and that I couldn't dedicate 100% of myself to it, but I learned a lot about event coordinating, how difficult it is to create an event, invite people to the event, advertise this event, make the event happen. It's a big duty, and it's definitely an experience that I would do again, but I know that I need to be a lot more available for it. And also Parks and Recreation, I had a lot of partnerships with them because obviously I was making events with them. And it made me realize how much is going on in San Antonio and how many small communities there are that you just wouldn't think of if you didn't see it for yourself. So a lot of people say, oh, there's nothing in San Antonio for me. And I used to say that too sometimes, but the more you look, the more there is some people looking specifically for what you're looking for as well. And then Cibolo Creek cleanup, I'll be completely honest, I was only there because I wanted to pay off my parking ticket, because I found out that 1 hour of service is $25 for parking tickets. So PSA for all of you. It's very important here at UTSA. Okay, self-development. So STEM Career Fair, my biggest goal this summer was to get an internship or learn what I wanted to now. Atkins was a great internship, and I joined because they have this program called Net Zero Engineering, where they're trying to create their construction projects and have them emit net zero carbon emissions. So that program is brand new and it's still not up and running, but I knew that getting my foot in the door with the company was the first step to getting involved in that. And that was successful, that was great, but I wanted something that was doing something for the environment now. And hence all of the career fairs that I went to, and we'll get more in that later. But I did the oath presentation for Costa Rica. I did the Roadrunner Showcase, which I didn't win, but I got to record Jordan winning, which was even better. I did a Tough Mudder with Josh. It was a great time. And it kind of made me realize that I can do anything. Like, it was a 10K and there's obstacles. I completed every single obstacle alongside the guys. And it was so fun. And that opened up to my triathlon training, where our friend Sophie, who had just run a marathon, she was like, "Let me do a triathlon." And Josh was like, "Yo, let's do a triathlon." I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, why not?" But I don't know how to swim. So it's a 500-meter swim, a 3-mile bike, and a 2-mile run. And so it's been very humbling to jump in the water and get exhausted after 2 laps and gasp for water every like 2 seconds, because I'm not used to having that anxiety. So it's been a learning experience, but a habit or a hobby that I'm gonna pursue. And then habit forming. So because of the fall semester, one of my big goals this year was to create simple habits, like make my bed in the morning. If I see a sock on the floor, pick it up. Because last semester in fall, I think that's kind of what was teetering me. I would show up to my room and it would be messy and I just didn't want to be productive in it. So making these small habits, like wash my face every morning, wash my face every night, pick up my room, make my bed, learn Italian every day. Even if the day was poor and I didn't get anything done, I could say I did all of these things. And I think it's really helped me. So I highly recommend doing that if you haven't. Winter break, grind and stuff. The winter break I spent with Dr. John Joseph. He was my professor for numerical methods. We love him. And I learned a lot about Python from the class, and I was able to apply it to Engineers Without Borders to create a velocity calculation, so I can calculate the velocity of water at any point. And then that Excel is just solidifying what I calculated here and checking. So that was fun. I spent like 5 days with him, and during winter break we'd meet every week. And it was great because I didn't have anything else on my plate. You know, classes were over, so I was able to just throw myself into this project again. And then, so now I get updates from Engineers Without Borders, the Guatemala office. If you don't know, there's 4 communities that don't have any running water. And what they want to do, what they're doing, is putting a big tank at the top of a hill, and the water's going to run down to the communities. And what we're doing is creating the hydraulic plans and this concrete structure for some of the houses that are above that elevation. But they sent me this in February 2nd, 2023. That's the big tank construction, and they worked so fast over there. A month later, this is what it looked like. And last week, this is what it looked like. So it's almost done, and they told me it's going to be completely done before July. So that means that I need to get all my calculations, I need to get my group going by the end of June. So that should be something cool to work on in the summer. So intramurals, I went so ham in intramurals this semester and last semester. I did indoor volleyball, indoor co-ed soccer, I did co-ed basketball, I did sand volleyball, and I did outdoor co-ed soccer. Obviously, top volleyballers. Is Engineers Without Borders. We did basketball. We were really bad. Zanetta was on the team back there. Shout out to you, girl. And then the top two is indoor and outdoor soccer, and we were actually intramural champions for both of those. So that was cool. They give you a shirt, they take a picture of you, and they give you their wings. So very fun. Outdoor pursuits. This is a course that is very near and dear to my heart. I loved this course. I think that none of these experiences would have happened had I taken this course. It taught me a lot about time management, my priorities, seeking peace, and finding time to rest. So the premise of this course is that you find a mental well-being that you want to focus on for the semester. I chose mental and spiritual well-being because I wanted to be more present in my life. When I went to Costa Rica, I realized that I was always looking towards the next step. It was, yeah, I did this internship, what's next? Like, okay, yeah, I'm here in this class, what's next? And I'm always planning like 2 years ahead of myself. But why am I doing that when I could just live now? Because in the end, college is super fun. And when I'm 27 or 32, I'm gonna look back and say, what was I even doing? I don't even remember, you know. So create memories. And this right here is our campsite in Monaghan Sandhills. We were gonna sleep in a tent, we set up the tent, everything was ready to go. And at the end, my friend Sophie goes, why don't we just sleep outside? And I was like, well, there's sand. And she was like, but it's gonna be an experience. I said, you're so right, so let's sleep outside. So we took our sleeping bags out, we dug little graves in the sand, and we lay there. And my grave wasn't big enough, so my legs were like elevated. But it was really nice. And so we're looking up at the stars, and in the span of like an hour, we see 3 shooting stars. And I'd never even seen one. So in those moments, it's like, oh my gosh, shooting star, let me make a wish. And you're like, oh my god, another one. And then by the 3rd one, I was like, I don't even have anything to wish for. You know? Everything's going so perfectly. And it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't people to push me to sleep outside, or a course that quote unquote forced me to go outside, because I wouldn't have made time for this. And it made me realize, just if you want to take a break and just leave your phone, leave your schoolwork, it's totally possible. We would leave on a Friday night and come back on a Saturday at noon. You know, it's not too much time invested, and I would feel so recharged afterwards. So highly recommend taking this course as well. Okay, in the summer. So I'm in construction, I love construction, but it is awful for the environment. I think it causes about 40% of global emissions. So concrete is the 2nd most used material in the world, right behind water. And concrete accounts for 5 to 7% of the world's carbon emissions. Solidium Technologies is researching to make concrete more sustainable. So they have already reduced concrete's greenhouse emissions by 30%. And all of their research was recently in New Jersey. They started in New Jersey, and within this year, they moved everything to San Antonio. Their research, their plants, all of it. And they took me on as a tech. So I'll be at the forefront of their research, of their sales, all of that. And from what I've heard from the employees, they're just really happy to be there. They said, yeah, it's a small company right now, but we wear a lot of hats and we get to experience a lot of the different aspects of what this industry is. And that's exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm really excited to work with them. And I'm really happy that I found something that I'm passionate about for this summer. And it's gonna be in San Antonio with my family. So that's a huge plus. But yeah, that's the end of this year. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys being here.
Great job, Edith. You never cease to amaze me with all that you're doing, and it's exciting to see you being able to progress your career and the things that you want to accomplish professionally while being also fulfilled personally, right? And I think learning that super early on, like you are, is fantastic. One thing I will say, I'm saying this to all the students that are 2nd, 3rd year students, don't forget the top scholar community. You're super involved with engineering and other groups, and that's fantastic. But you have a lot to offer younger scholars as well. So please reserve some of that precious time for them also. But really, really fantastic job, super proud. So, other thoughts and questions from folks in the room or online? We do have a handful of folks online as well. In fact, if you stop sharing, we can see them. Yeah.
No, it's not. Don't worry about it.
It is.
Anyone else have comments, thoughts, questions for Edith?
So you are just essentially fantastic at everything. I mean, I see that firsthand as your friend. But like, how does it feel to be humbled from swimming?
It's really good because you know you're good in the land and you run and you do all the things and you're like, okay, let me get into the water and you sink to the bottom. So
But when is your triathlon?
in August, end of August.
We're excited. I'm excited to see Christian.
It looks like Mufado might have a comment for you.
Hey, I was just gonna say congratulations again on a great year. I think I remember being in your presentation last year as well and being super impressed by the stuff you're doing, and it seems like you're keeping on that same track. I don't envy you with the triathlon. I could barely run, so swimming is definitely not something that I could do neither. So I hope that goes well for you. But again, congratulations on a great year, and I hope you keep that next year.
Thank you, Mufado.
Mhm.
Appreciate you.
Okay, so thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Our next presentation will begin at 9:30, and I want to say that's just so. Thank you. We'll get a bit of a break.